From Mark Harmon getting bored with the show's storyline to the show losing its most important star, here are all the details on why NCIS needs to be cancelled after Mark Harmon's departure. Let's start with why Mark left in the first place. After all, it's been a while since our beloved Gibbs left the show. And well, Mark Harmon has finally spilled the beans on why he decided to hang up his badge and gun. In a recent interview on the DVD release of Season 19, Harmon opened up about his decision to leave and what he hopes to achieve now that he's free from the NCIS grind. After 18 seasons of playing the iconic Leroy Jethro Gibbs, the actor was itching for a change. He wanted to sink his teeth into some fresh and challenging material that would push him out of his comfort zone.
And to keep that fresh and to keep it challenging.
And show the world what he's really made of. I have to admit, we were all a little heartbroken when Gibbs left the show. He was the ultimate badass with his gruff voice, stern demeanor, and killer instincts. But you also totally get where Harmon was coming from. After all, it's not easy to keep up that level of intensity for nearly 2 decades. I can only imagine how exhausting it must have been for him to play the same character year after year, never getting the chance to explore different roles and flex his acting muscles. But wait, before you let your tear ducts flow, let me give you some good news. You don't have to give up on Mark just yet. Yep, while Mark Harmon may have left the show to pursue new challenges, he's not closing the door on his beloved character completely. In an interview on the DVD feature, Harmon revealed that Gibbs isn't technically retired as a character.
I'm not retired. I'm not...
That's right, folks. We could potentially see Gibbs make a comeback for some special appearances in the future. So, keep your fingers crossed and your eyes peeled for any sign of our favorite NCIS agent. Now, you might be wondering what Gibbs has been up to since he left the show. Well, according to Harmon, the character is living it up in Alaska.
The character's living in Alaska, as far as I know.
We can only imagine what kind of trouble he's getting into up there. Maybe he's gone fishing, or maybe he's taken up bear wrestling. Whatever he's doing, we're sure he's still as badass as ever. Even though Gibbs hasn't made a full-on return to the show, his memory is still very much alive. In fact, he was mentioned in at least 3 episodes in Season 20, and then later as well. It's clear that the NCIS team hasn't forgotten about our favorite special agent. And I can't wait to see how they'll continue to honor him in the future. So, while we may miss seeing Mark Harmon's handsome face on our screens every week, we can take comfort in the fact that Gibbs is still out there living his best life in Alaska. And who knows, maybe he'll make a surprise appearance one day and remind us all why he's one of the most beloved characters in TV history. Anyway, while he did give us some hope before leaving, there were many who were pretty shaken about the whole thing. In fact, Mike's exit led to fans claiming they wouldn't watch the show ever again. The final scene featuring Mark Harmon was a real tearjerker. In the scene, McGee tries to convince Gibbs to come with him, but ultimately accepts his goodbye. Gibbs thanks McGee for being his partner for the past 18 years, telling him that he couldn't have asked for a better person to have his back. As he walks away, Gibbs says, "I love you, man," leaving fans feeling all the feels. Viewers took to social media to share their thoughts on the emotional ending, with many expressing how choked up they were by the moment. Some even admitted to crying over the goodbyes, which just goes to show how much Gibbs and Harmon's portrayal of him means to the show's loyal fan base. However, not everyone was on board with the ending. Some fans even declared that they would no longer be watching the show, feeling that without Gibbs, the show just wouldn't be the same. For the viewers, he was the heart and soul of the show, and his absence would leave a gaping hole that couldn't be filled. Regardless of whether you loved or hated the ending, there's no denying that it was a bittersweet moment for fans. And I think some of those fans who said they'd never watch the series again stuck to their word, because the viewership went slightly down. Alright, let's break down the numbers, folks. So, Season 19, which aired after Gibbs' departure, saw an average of 7.57 million viewers in the adult demographic according to TV series finale. Pretty good, right? I thought so too. But in comparison, Season 20's average viewership dropped slightly to 6.55 million viewers. Yikes. But wait, while the drop in viewership may seem significant, it is important to note that NCIS is still a major player in CBS's lineup. It remains one of the network's top-rated dramas, and consistently ranks among the top 10 most-watched scripted shows on television. So even with a slight decrease in viewership, NCIS is still a valuable asset for CBS, and has a high chance of being renewed for future seasons. What made the period of saying goodbye even tougher, however, was seeing Mark Harmon's name in the credits even after he left. And while the viewers mourned the loss of their favorite star, the show decided to move on. And to do so, they decided to remove his name once and for all, starting with the Season 20 premiere. And while Harmon's departure from the show has generated mixed emotions among fans. Some fans expressed their excitement for the new opening credits, saying it was weird to have his name included in the credits all last season. However, others felt a sense of sadness and loss when they realized that their favorite character was no longer in the opening credits. Although some fans are happy to move on from Harmon's exit, many remain devoted to the actor and the character he portrayed. They still believe that the show won't be the same without him, and expressed their disappointment after seeing him completely removed from the opening credits. But that didn't stop the showrunners from changing things up. I mean, they literally found his replacement. Now, it's always a challenge for a long-running TV series to handle a major character departure, especially when that character is as beloved as Gibbs. Though it seems that NCIS has done a good job of handling the transition with Alden Parker's character, the slow build-up to his role as the team's lead agent allowed for a smooth transition. And the writers have done a good job of giving him his own distinct personality, while still incorporating some elements of Gibbs's character. It's clear that Parker will never be a replacement for Gibbs, but he has managed to step into the role of team leader and carry the series forward in a compelling way. And, come to think of it, the writers eased him in very subtly, which made the transition even easier for fans. And let's be real, since the whole fan base had mixed feelings about Gibbs's exit, it's no surprise that the team had their doubts about Parker too. Torres in particular had a tough time adjusting and didn't hold back on showing it. But Parker didn't let that get to him. He knew how much Gibbs meant to the team, so he didn't try to be a replacement. In fact, Gary Cole, the actor who plays Parker, said that part of his job description was to get comfortable in the role. No pressure, right? The writers were clever with how they introduced Parker's character. After all, he had some Gibbs-like qualities, but they weren't just carbon copies. Gibbs was all about his boat building, while Parker's hobby was bird watching. Gibbs loved his coffee, but Parker is all about the pastries. And while Gibbs struggled with technology, Parker's new communication app is saving the team's butts on cases. So, all in all, Parker has some big shoes to fill, but he's doing a pretty decent job at it. He's got his own thing going on, but still pays homage to Gibbs's legacy. But even though he's doing okay, there are still many who think the show needs to end. Why? Well, they think he was easily the most important person in the series. That's why. The show's format focuses on the team of protagonists, so losing someone like him was felt throughout the series. The other agents had to step up their game, but there was still a Gibbs-shaped hole in the team dynamic. He had a unique personality that made him stand out from the rest. He was a tough, no-nonsense leader who always had his team's back. Plus, the man knew how to smack McGee on the head like nobody's business. The absence of Gibbs is definitely noticeable, but we have to give credit where credit is due. Agent Parker is doing a great job as the new lead character. That being said, Gibbs was still the driving force behind the team, always pushing them to be their best, and without him, the show just isn't the same. So, with the show losing its most important star to Mark Harmon getting bored with the show's storyline, those were all the details on why NCIS needs to be canceled after Mark Harmon's departure.